we'll go over it together. Okay, so course description. It says Principles of Health Science course offers an introduction into the industry and careers of health science. Okay, this is not a health class. This is an introduction into healthcare careers. So if you're interested in going into the healthcare field, or you think you might be interested in going into the healthcare field, or maybe you're not interested at all and you just think the class will be interesting, all of those are great reasons to take the class. Right? But it's not a health class, it's a health science class, so it's about the healthcare field. Says this course provides the opportunity to research and discover basic healthcare practices, so we'll learn a lot of just healthcare basics, how you take vital signs, and we'll do some psychology, we'll learn about legal and ethical issues within healthcare. We'll talk about different healthcare careers. So I know I am a registered nurse. I think I said that in the video yesterday. I am a registered nurse. So a lot of the stories that I talk about, or while I'm talking about health science, will relate back to nursing. It's not because I'm trying to push nursing on you, or because this is a class just for people who want to be nurses. That's just where my experience comes from. So that's what I talk about the most. That's where my experience is. Not because I have any expectation of everybody in here becoming a nurse. But so you'll hear me talk about that regularly. We're going to look at all kinds of healthcare. We'll look at radiology techs. We'll look at physicians. We'll look at physical therapy. We'll do all kinds of stuff. So those are just some examples. We'll also talk about different body systems. So we'll have like a cardio and respiratory unit. We talk about the heart, learn about the lungs. We'll do all kinds of stuff in there. It's a really fun class. We do lots of hands-on activities. I'll take lots of participation grades, so that's really important to me that you guys are really a part when we have class discussion or we have group projects. I'm a big fan of group projects, and so we'll work together in groups a ton in here. So this course provides opportunity to research and discover basic healthcare practices, careers, and then common diseases. We'll do some disease research as well. You as a student can expect to spend time with hands-on activities, doing research, or creating projects, and then group and individual work, both of those. Expectations says you are expected to effectively contribute to class discussion, activities, anything else that we do in here. What that means is that you don't come in here and sit like a bump on the wall. Okay, you need to take part. If we're having classroom discussion, I expect everybody to have something to say and to, think it through. Come in here prepared and ready. Like tomorrow's class discussion, you already know what it's going to be about. It's on your paper, so make sure you look at it so that you can come in here and have an idea about what you want to do or what areas that you're interested in, etc. You'll work in groups or pairs frequently and are expected to do so willingly and with great effort. What that means is that what I do, the way that I pick groups, is everybody, y'all all put your name on a tongue depressor, right? Okay, this is how I pick groups. So every time we have a group project, this is how I pick them. So they're random every time. Okay, I don't just put you with somebody because I think y'all need to learn a lesson and learn to love each other, or put you with somebody because you wanted to be with them. It's all random. Now, sometimes we have like the same two people together like 10 times in a row, but it's still random. I don't know. That always seems to happen. But so that's what I'll use to do that. And the other thing that means is that I don't want any grumbling or complaining when you get into groups to do that. I hate that. There's not much else I hate more than somebody grumbling and complaining about being in a group with someone. So just keep your comments to yourself. Everybody's going to work with everybody at some point this year, I promise, because we have lots of group work. And the truth is, that's just real life. Real life is working in teams with people. I mean, it's like that. It was like that for me when I was a nurse. It's like that for me now. I mean, my job depends on what Mr. Cook does and what Miss Norris does and the other teachers around. If I'm the only one enforcing a certain rule and none of the other teachers do it, it's not going to be very successful if I'm the only one. Like, we work as a team. And that goes for any job you're ever going to have. You're never just going to work for yourself. You're going to depend on other people to do their part. When I was a nurse, you know, I depended on the doctors to write the right orders. If they didn't know what they were doing and they wrote the wrong medication for someone, you know, I'm not the doctor. I don't have the same schooling that they do. If I follow their orders, I need to be able to trust and depend on them to do the right thing so that whenever I actually give the medication, I don't kill the person, right? So we're all going to work together, and it's important that we learn to do that now so that it's easier whenever we get into the real world. And working together does not look like you allowing someone else to do all the work, but it also doesn't look like you doing all the work because you don't trust your other group members to do their part. Like, it takes trust all the way around. So that's, you know, we're going to, I don't know, that's a practice that we'll do. The other things that you'll do a lot of in this class is presentations. We'll get up and you guys will share about different things that you learn. We do lots of presentations in here for you guys to present whatever you studied to the rest of the class. And that's in our, that one is required. That's in our, what we have to learn. That's in our objectives from the state. Okay. Classroom rules. Okay, they're posted up here. You guys will have a quiz on these tomorrow. You do not need to memorize them, but I want you to understand them. Okay, that's the thing. I want you to understand what they mean, and we'll go over that. So be respectful. What is that? You guys are, I expect you guys to respect each other. So what does that look like? What does that mean? What are some ways you guys can respect each other?
Not touching his stuff.
Do what?
Not touching his stuff.
Okay, keep your hands to yourself. That's always a good thing. Cole, what else? Would you like the best invention ever?
So be respectful of that. I'll use your manners.
Use your manners, right? Okay, you can respect others in this class by doing your part when you do group work. Okay? That shows the rest of your group respect. You can respect others by not cheating off of them and doing your own work. Another way, respect others enough to let them do their work and you do yours. Okay, don't be a moocher. I don't like moochers either. Is that the right word? Dog, are you hearing that word? Oh. I guess Arlie got out of this class. I don't know. Winter, how can you guys respect the classroom? Yes, please do. Please take care of the stuff that's in here. Okay, so we have lots of equipment in here that the school has allowed us to purchase for this program, and we really need to take care of it. Okay, these things are very expensive. Skeletons, very expensive. Wilma back there, very, very expensive. So we want to have these things to use when we need them. Okay, so let's take care of them. Please do that. I'm not like a spring of money around here. Good. Okay, and then lastly, I want you guys to respect me. I have done my part to be here. I went to school to be a registered nurse. I went back to school to be a teacher. And I put in lots of years and lots of time into being here. And I put lots of time into this class and what we do in here. So it's important to me that you guys respect me as well. Have integrity. What is integrity? Sabrina. Integrity? Anybody else? Help her out? Cole can't answer because he's already had any class. We already talked about this.
Like yourself? I don't know.
Yes.
Yourself,
Honesty. Okay, being true to yourself, right? When I think of this is kind of my simplest definition of integrity. It's doing what's right, okay, even when nobody else is watching or when nobody else cares. You do what's right because you have it in you to do what's right. Okay, that's integrity. And that's really important, especially in the healthcare field. Because if I do something in secret, there's a lot of times if I'm mixing medications, like if I'm working as a nurse, mixing medications or charting something, like whatever I write down on the chart, that's what goes. If it comes to court, that's what goes. And so if I don't have integrity to write down the truth, there's no reason for me to be a nurse, that's for sure. I wouldn't want a nurse who didn't have integrity to be my nurse. So it's, integrity is kind of a buzzword, but it's taking care of your own business, right, and doing what you know to be right. And this is always my example, but when you go to Walmart and you get your buggy, you take it back to your car and unload your buggy, okay? Y'all even call them buggies, shopping cart, whatever you want to call it. Having integrity is taking that cart and parking it back up in the, the buggy parking spot, whatever it's called. That's having integrity. You do it because you don't want somebody else to have to pick up after you. You do it because not that ever somebody necessarily expects you to, or that you're going to get in trouble, but you do it because that's what's right, and you don't want others to have to make up for what you're not doing. If you drop something you're looking at clothes and you drop something on the floor, pick it up. Don't make somebody else have to pick up after you. That's integrity. When you can have integrity in the little things like picking up after yourself at the store, then you're going to have integrity with the big things like giving people medicine or caring for them, So that's, I don't know, you'll hear a lot about integrity in here over the course of the year, but that's something that is really important to me, and it should be important to you guys. Come prepared. Okay, so that can look like lots of things. One, it looks like you bring in your stuff to class when it's time to bring it to class. We don't have textbooks in here, but I do expect you guys to have your notes. Make sure you keep up with that weekly paper so that you know what you're doing. You never know. If one of us is out and there's a substitute in here, that's what I expect you guys to go by. I send them a note, I'm going to say, have the students look at their weekly paper and follow the plan, or work on whatever project or whatever it is. So make sure you keep up with that. That also means that you guys come in here ready to learn. I know this is 8th period, and everybody's going to be tired in 8th period, but this class, we're going to learn in here, and it's every day from bell to bell. You'll have plenty to do. There's not a lot of free time in here. I wouldn't even say a lot. There is no free time in here because you're always going to have a project to work on if we finish early with something else. So come prepared with an attitude to learn. 4 is take ownership of your choices. Okay, if you make a bad decision, own up to it and let's fix it or figure out a way to prevent it and move on. Okay, there's no need to lie or cheat. If you didn't do your homework, then take ownership of it and get your -10 points. Don't just cheat off of somebody. I cannot stand cheating. It just makes me shudder. I don't even like it. Look, I don't like it at all. So, take ownership. If you choose not to study, then you choose to make the bad grade. And I can tell you on these quizzes, these terminology quizzes that we're going to have every week, you're going to need to study. Okay, they're going to be all new terms every week. So make sure that you're doing that. 5 is convince the teacher that you're doing your best. Okay, convince the teacher you're doing your best. That means you don't come in here and, just pretend, or only halfway do your work or halfway do your project. I want to be convinced that you're doing your best. Okay, let's keep going. Grades. Grades will be as follows. It says daily grades, participation, homework, your payday quizzes, all of that will go in as daily grades. That's 50%, just like it is in the other classes. And then any tests or projects that we do, those all go in as test grades. Okay, projects or test grades. And you'll always have a rubric. You'll know what I mean by a rubric, like a paper that has points to fill out. So every project that we do will have a rubric, and always make sure you look at that and everything and make sure you've got it all. Tests. As tests will generally be given over each unit. But sometimes we don't. Sometimes we just have a project instead of a test in here. If you're absent, it's your responsibility to set up a time to make it up. Okay, that is on you. Your responsibility. I'm not going to remind you that you were absent on so-and-so day and we need to make it up. You need to set up a time to take the test. And you can do that with me or Miss Trout, but that's up to you guys to do that. Now it says 2 days of the absence, but I need to go back on that. You just need to, whatever the student handbook says, I think it's, you get like however many days you're absent plus a day. So if you're absent for 2 days, then you get 3 days to make it up. If you're absent 1 day, you get 2 days to make it up, and so forth. Medical terminology. So you guys are getting half a credit of Principles of Health Science and half a credit of medical terminology for this class. So, but what I've done is basically I have taken both of those classes and just spread them out over the course of the year so we can learn the terminology as we go, like by unit. So we'll learn, this first, we're going to learn about some of the terminology about insurance and history and so forth. So we learn it as we go. I think it's easier to learn that way. But every week on that weekly paper, you'll get new terms, usually about 10 new terms or word parts. We'll learn those later on in the year. And then 5 abbreviations. Now, sometimes the abbreviations look weird because a lot of them come from the Latin term, which is where some of our medical terms come from. But like PRN, if you'll notice, is as needed. I can't remember what the Latin is, but that has to do with the Latin word for that. That's why. I know you think, okay, these are crazy, but that's why. So paydays are what I call our quizzes. I was going to change the name this year, but I couldn't come up with anything creative enough, so we're sticking with payday. But I call them that because, like, we worked really hard all week, and Friday is payday, right? Worked really hard, and get your 100 on Friday because you know what's going to be on there. It's going to be those terms, and then you'll have some old terms mixed in once we get going. But I always add in old terms. So once we get past this first week, it will almost always be 20 questions long. So it'll have 5 old terms in it. Maybe abbreviations or terms mixed in. Usually they look like the terms are matching. And then the abbreviations, you have to write those out and spell them correctly. The spelling only take off a point per word, but it's still. Okay, so you're expected to know the definitions, pronunciation, and spelling of those terms and abbreviations. But I promise you'll want to keep up with those because they build. The other thing I did not tell you, well, I guess I'll get to it now. So black pens, I prefer black just because that's what you use in healthcare. You guys need some kind of notebook to keep up with your papers. And I'll tell you why. One, your paydays. So you want to keep up with all of your payday quizzes and your weekly papers. Keep up with those and keep up with any paper tests that we take over the course of the semester. Keep them all semester because when the semester exam gets here, I don't give a semester exam review. You use those old tests and payday quizzes. So keep up with them because otherwise you will not have anything to study for the semester exam. Okay? So get you a notebook. I would suggest like a 3-ring notebook. I can get you one if you guys need me to. That's not an issue. And just I will poke holes in them as we go and just file them in there so that you've got them. What else was I about to say? Oh, I put index cards on here. That's really up to you guys. I don't know, everybody's different. How you want to study those payday terms is different. But one suggestion is you guys can get some index cards, and then I've got a couple of these, but I can get some more from you too. You can put them on a ring like this and just keep them in there and go through them, every day, those first couple minutes you get to class. That's a good way to memorize them that way. Or I've had students who put them in on like Study Blue. You guys use Study Blue? Like a app, like a flashcard app. I've had students put them in that way and go through them. I think that Jester used to do that. So however you want to do that is fine. So index cards are not required. I know it says that on here, but you're welcome to get those and keep them if you want to. Hall passes. So did everybody get hall passes yesterday? Okay. And then there was somebody, Kelsey. I wonder if she got out. She must have because I didn't see her in here. Okay, so your hall passes. Make sure you guys hang on to those. I would suggest you put your name on them. That was right here this morning. So you guys can use these hall passes to either go to your locker or go to the bathroom, or leave for any other reason of your own accord.
Yeah, I hit the button.
Okay. So I lost my train of thought though. Hall passes. So for you guys, each one is worth 5 points. If you don't use them over the course of the 6 weeks, you get those 5 points. You know, at the end of the 6 weeks, you can turn it in, and each one is worth 5 points on a test grade. So a lot of times, if you turn in both of those, it can equal, 1 or 2 points on your average. So it can make a big difference. So hang on to those, and we'll just ask for them. If you say you need to go to the bathroom, when you go to your locker, that's what we're going to say. Okay, you have a hall pass. And if you don't have it, you're not leaving. So you better hang on to them and make sure you bring them to class. Put them in your wallet or whatever you bring to class every day. Put them in there so that you've got them. Okay, if you need to go to your locker and you don't have a hall pass or you don't want to give it up, then you just get the late grade. That's just the way it is. Okay, so make sure you keep up with them. What else? Extra credit. So if at any time, it says during the first 5 weeks of the 6 weeks, you may write a summary of a magazine or journal article for extra credit. The paper is always over here. Okay, so anytime, I'm not going to remind you of it, this is your reminder. It's always available. And you can always do this. You can do 2 of 6 weeks. And you just take a magazine, you can take one of these if you want to, you can look up an article online, and you just write out a summary of the article. Make sure you don't plagiarize. It has to be typed and double spaced. It's not very long. I don't even know if you can actually summarize me getting that out, but anyways. Make sure that you follow the instructions and provide a works-cited page with bibliography for your article. Again, you can do 2 of those in 6 weeks. Those are also worth 5 points each on a test grade. That means you could have 20 points on a test grade. Extra if you want it. Okay, but the thing about these is that they're due the Friday before the last week of the grading period. So, for example, September 25th is the last day of the 6 weeks. That's the Friday. So you have to have these turned in by the 18th, the week before. Does that make sense? Okay, if you turn it in that last week of the 6 weeks, I'll be happy to put it on the next 6 weeks, but it's not going to that one. So that's always available. Makeup work, it is, I don't know what else. I don't know what I did. Maybe I made an old copy or something, but it's just a handbook. It doesn't go what's in the handbook. So like I said, if you're asking for 2 days, you have 3 days to make it up, and so forth. And then late work is also by the student handbook. So for every day that it's late, it's minus 10 points. And after 5 days, then it's 0 and you make it up. Other than that, the objectives on here, those are just kind of some examples of some things that we will be going over the course of the year. Okay, let's look at this pathways paper real quick. For some of you guys, those of you that are seniors, this isn't really going to matter a whole lot to you, but those of you, the rest of you, freshmen, everybody else I think is juniors. Sorry. Okay, so those of you seniors, so this is just elective course, and you're on the old graduation. Okay, the other options, so specifically since most of you guys are juniors, and Brandon, you're freshmen, so this will actually look a little bit different for you just because all my classes are changing over the next 2 years. But you basically have 2 options if you want to continue in the health science plan. I just going ahead and going over this now because I want you guys to have an idea of what you want to do. So the way that this works is a lot of students take this class as a sophomore year, senior year. So elective for you as well. So you can opt to go the pharmacy technician route or the certified nurse aide route if you continue in this. For those of you guys who are juniors, really pharmacy tech is the only option at this point, unless they change up the CNA thing, which they might do. So you might still get into the CNA program next year if that's something that you want to do. If you want to be a nurse, you know nursing is something that you're interested in, I would strongly recommend that you go the CNA route if we can get you into that for next year. Because one, if you want to be a nurse, CNA is a really good step into nursing. Gives you a good picture of what nursing would be like. It's kind of the grunt work of nursing, but it's a really great job where you can make, it's like time and a half versus minimum wage for sure. So make more money, but also when you try to get into nursing school, have your CNA license, that really adds points to your application to just get in to nursing school. Right now it's scheduled so that you take principles as a sophomore, as a junior you take health science in the fall, and then you start the CNA program in the spring. I'm really hoping we get away with that first class because I don't think it's really necessary. But anyway. So the other option is the pharmacy tech pathway. And so what would happen is if you guys want to go that route, you take this class this year, obviously, and then next year you would do in the fall, you do the health science 2 class where we do clinical rotations, and kind of just adds to what we learn in this class. And then in the spring, you do the pharmacy technician program. It's a combination. It's an online program, and then I add supplemental instruction with it. So both of those are 2 periods. It's first and second period. So in the fall, it's first and second period is health science 2, and in the spring, it's the pharmacy technician class. And again, it's a mixture. So part of it's online, part of it I teach. Like that. Now, the CNA class, you actually take your exam before you even get done with before the year's over with. So like in May, those students take the exam there versus the pharmacy tech program, you take the test on your own after graduation. You have to be 18, I think, to take the test. But anyway, so those are kind of the 2 options. So that's just to get you guys kind of thinking about, like, kind of planning ahead about what you want to do and so forth. I think that's it for me. Do y'all have any questions?